Sold at 560.
785 the first, 785 the second, be sure, 785 the third, final time, sold. The third and final time at £910,000, sold. So welcome to the current edition of the Allsop Prop Chat. This one is designed to review the 2nd of November auction, which took place yesterday. I'm George Walker, one of the auctioneers Allsops. I'm joined by my regular team of Will Clough, Ben Hodge, and a special guest today is Lottie Hayward, who's jumped the fence today from the private treaty team. Morning, Lottie.
Good morning, George.
So we're in 2021. We got to look back at the numbers yesterday. 61 million from the catalogue. That brings us to 499 million for the year to date. The last time we did that was back to 2018 when we had things called printed catalogues. And in the week of COP26, I should say we don't do that anymore because that was 10 tons of paper being used 6 times a year. So the question for the week for this podcast is, what have you done to green yourself? All replies to podcasts@allsop.co.uk. Ben, you're running your Tig one off wine.
Tigran's going off Chardonnay now, and vegan, a few days a week.
Veggie left over from the wedding.
Yes, very good. So my colleagues today, Will and Ben, are enjoying their 10th and 11th years at Allsops, which is a big celebration, having done 25 for Mark last week. So anyway, look, let's stop rambling and go into the first topic today. We're going to cover the buyers. Lottie's going to talk us through the lots that have been sold as a backstop into auction, £15 million of those this auction. We'll then look at some of the London lots, the mixed use in London and the regions, and then we'll conclude with having done a quick overall summary. As you know, we have a lot to cover. We'll do it fairly rapidly and would love your questions about green, your comments about green, but also other questions to podcasts@allsop.co.uk. So, Ben, what have you picked up from buyers in the last couple of weeks?
Well, the buyers chat's quite interesting. I just want to touch upon a couple of lots, the buyers of a few lots. So lot 38 in Ashford, which we sold, the couple that bought it, they'd actually inherited some money.
Give us some idea of scale.
Yeah, £250,000 actually.
Okay.
They're just under 300,000. So inherited some money and they're looking to place it. The account wasn't really paying them anything on any interest. So they really wanted to buy it. They tried to offer prior, but actually through competition on the day, they bid, they bought, and they ended up paying a bit more than they offered prior to auction.
Excellent. I can tell you more about National Savings Investments timescales and avenue because lot 41 in Whitney was sold to a private who had to raid 3 NS&I accounts, and it takes 5 days to get money out of them. Anyway, it's all in, deposit fully paid, but that was no example of people going from cash returns to something out of real estate. Clough, did you pick up anything from the buyers? Canterbury, I think you talked about.
Yeah, Canterbury, lot 19, a parade of shops with the Starbucks in there, which was underlet to a franchisee. We had a lot of bids beforehand, certainly on behalf of an investment manager.
It's a cracking town, Canterbury, isn't it?
Yeah, but most of it's leasehold.
Okay.
We had one in the previous auction, which we sold with Lottie, which is also leasehold, which should be completing imminently. We had a couple of bids beforehand. Our client was in two minds about whether to run a process to take a bid beforehand, but actually they trusted the auction process. We had 8 people bidding. And
I have to say, at one point, you didn't look like you were going to trust the auction process. You better get a best bid, but well done for not.
A few sleepless nights.
But last time,
the eventual buyer was someone that bid beforehand, and they ended up paying a lot more than their initial pre-auction offer. So the process does work.
Well done. Yeah, despite your slight lack of faith.
Yeah, some well-known people looking at that as well. One of the under-tenants was bidding on that. What were you looking at, George, this auction?
Yeah, well, I sort of got a bit involved with Dougie on those trade counters, actually. And it's one of the theme of today's, well, one of the themes is we're going to cover is those lots that have been out in the market. And I worked with Dougie a little bit on these trade counters, which form part of a portfolio across the southwest. We had a crack at one of them in Newport last time. No oil painting by any measure. It's a bit of an ugly piece on Portland Street. That went out at $500,000 last auction, September, about 6.5%. We got a chance to offer 3 more, Swindon, Bristol and Cardiff. And I have to say, the Swindon piece, I've been there, I spent thousands in there, or Mrs. Walker has, in getting the paint together for our house. So a very attractive sector, all that to the colour centre, modest rents, I think quite manageable lot sizes. And the Swindon one was particularly hot the most punchy of the three, went out at 613,000, which is 4.6% for a little shed in Swindon, £185 a foot. That's really punchy, but tremendous competition. I think about a dozen people fought for it. The others were in, that's lot 46. 57, Bristol was about 4.8%, and then Cardiff 5.7%, but all well above guide. So interesting one. And they haven't been out individually, been out as a portfolio, but the vendors did decide ultimately to sell them. Last one's a portfolio individually, and they've got a pretty decent number.
That's what we sort of talked about before as well. Is it yield? Is it capital rate? We've talked about on numerous podcasts before, and
challenging the convention of yield. Yeah, I mean, if you look at, you're going to talk about the Collierswood Library later on. There's a London lot, very, very long lease, and it's a cracking yield, but it's only 15 quid a foot more than we got in Swindon for a shed. So you've got to look at it all both ways. So Lottie, you worked with us with Chris, didn't you, on a few sales. Which ones did you cover?
I did. We had Winchester, 28 High Street, which was the fat face unit on the ground floor and basement, and they had vacant upper parts, which had previously got planning permission for 2 flats.
So were they converted or not?
No, they hadn't been occupied for 5 years, but they did have separate access onto the high street. Fat face had 2.5 years left to break.
How did the rent look? A bit strong?
A bit strong.
Yeah.
Like most
As
street at the
expect,
moment.
yeah, difficult to put a finger on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we had a mix. We had about 40 interested parties, probably 20 inspections. Yeah, these types of assets are going really well, where there is potential to do something with the upper parts, whether it be conversion to flats to let or for student accommodation.
Just diversifying, isn't it?
Yeah,
Building
exactly. And this was nice because it had the separate entrance from the front, which is more unusual.
Sure.
So that went really well. We backstopped it into the auction for the certainty of sale.
And
Received offers prior to the auction, exchanged the day before. So exchanged on Monday.
so has that been out a month before the auction? Normal?
Yes. Yeah, we did 3 weeks before the catalogue. So it gave people time to we had a couple of people do building surveys on.
Good
the
Lord,
upper
really?
parts.
It's like we don't help very much. Did anyone do the building survey who bought it? Did the buyer do a building survey? Do you know?
They did have a surveyor go round.
Okay. Yeah. That's something we don't see very often. Okay, so what else? What was the other one? Was it in Leicester?
It was
bigger
home
lot.
city.
and the home of the finest rugby union team in the country.
I will agree.
How many is it? Cuffy, 7
Which I won't agree with.
Better than Bath, Hodgie, I think.
That was a parade on Gallotree Gate, which is the prime retailing pitch in Leicester, from the train station through to the High Cross Shopping Centre. Really nice big block, backs onto Marketplace as well, so they do have dual frontages. WH Smiths were the main tenants in there. They have also sublet to the post office in the basement because they do occupy quite a lot of the space. We've also got CEX, the vape store, and the council, and a local.
Got a real mix. And how did the rents look? A bit toppy?
Yes, WH Smith. Yes, the others not too bad.
Okay.
There have been quite a lot of new lettings on the other ones, so they were quite sensible, and all the upper parts were intact. 2 upper floors, really nice floors.
So good chunk, good city.
Yeah.
Good rugby team.
And
Yes.
the buyer was from where?
Overseas, Hong Kong. So they had done surveys before, so they hadn't inspected, but they did do surveys on the property. We did have 5 inspections. One of those was a video inspection. We did a walking tour.
Well, that's I signed that at 6:45 last night, that contract. So that's done, dusted, out of the way.
Yes.
Great, good result. Excellent. Well, that takes us neatly to Widnes Shopping Centre. I suppose that's been out before. You might have seen this in the market following it. Well, it's the biggest lot that sold, actually. Well ahead of its guide of 3.5 million. So that was 95,000 feet. We sold the Albert Square Shopping Centre in March this year. That was slightly different sort of strata income, leasehold, about 1.9 million we got for that. This is 95,000 feet. It's a freehold piece. Alex Butler, Lottie's colleague, had that out, and we got that way ahead of its £3.5 million guide, sort of £40 a foot, which is probably the upper end of the centres we've been doing this year. So it's about £20 million in centres. Hodge, you're going to talk about Leek, aren't you? Because you like.
I like the shopping centre, George. We had 2 shopping centres in the auction. We obviously had Widnes and we also had Leek. So lot 27 in Leek. This was quite a nice little shopping centre. It was quite compact, had car parking and also multiple units.
But those tenants look like absolutely what the market wants them to.
Yeah,
to
the
buy.
tenants are sort of staples for society at the moment, which is probably feeling a bit cash strapped. So it's got discount retailers like Iceland and Home Bargains and Wilko in there. So yeah, that was producing over £400,000 of income. Funny story, actually. The buyer turned up about an hour before the auction to register. And
As on the phone, he didn't bang the door down.
no, on the phone. He rang up an hour before the auction, registered to bid, and he's delighted with his purchase.
And no doubt you spoke to him this morning, then you had a chat.
Spoken to him this morning. Yeah,
is he delighted?
He's absolutely delighted.
Fantastic.
He's woken up this morning, realised that yes, he does think he thinks that I think he's mad.
But he now knows how much a train ticket from London to Leek is, does he?
Well, absolutely, but
Excellent.
spontaneously purchase a £2.75 million shopping centre.
That's what we love.
Excellent. And that's why it's so effective.
But just quickly touching upon shopping centre and price per square foot, we mentioned Widnes was at the upper end. Leek is also at the upper end. It's £48.81 per square foot. Good
But as
value.
you say, those tenants for Leek are very different to a normal shopping centre.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have Wilco's typically paying
No.
230.
Yeah.
And that's a big portion of the rent.
No fashion or anything like that.
No, exactly.
So look, back out of the regions, we did a bit of London, Cloughy, where I think we're going to cover Finchley. That had been out, hadn't it? That was one of the old Frankel sales.
So the Frankel portfolio was, how was that? 3, 4, 5 years ago
A couple
now?
of years ago. There were two, weren't
There
there?
were two packages.
All Bank of
so,
Scotland long leases.
one bought by a private, bought by a private propco, I think, those packages. And we've traded out numerous of them.
So you're talking about 9 now.
High Road, North Finchley, it was the same lease structure here, 2031, Bank of Scotland. Some of it was sublet to O2. There was a flat there as well. Just great long income in a cracking location, and the upper part's fully intact here. Was a slow burn at the auction to start with. Everyone was getting a bit twitchy, and then it ran away towards the end and ended up sub 4.5%.
Decent yield, isn't it? And that's tremendous. But it is a nice corner spot.
It's a great corner spot, and someone might see some potential in the future there.
London 12.
Yeah,
Brilliant
and
spot.
another mixed use London, if we go back a couple of blocks, was Camden, which is one that Doug was dealing with. A lovely looking piece
Dougie,
here.
the associate.
Estate agent on the ground floor, 4 flats upstairs, 2 of which were sold off. Real competition here, and that one achieved again sub 5%, about 4.9, 1.71 off a guide of 1.5.
Yeah.
So some real traction towards the end. And interestingly, on this one, the underbidder here was our eventual bidder of quite a standout lot, 18, the Collieswood Library.
Which is also something you dealt with, wasn't it?
Yeah, so rarely seen in terms of purpose-built section for the council to be used as a library, part of a modern development, 21 years, indexation, and 5-yearly compounded.
But talk about rare. I mean, it's rare to see a 3.75% guide.
So it was a sharp yield off the guide at circa 1.6, and the underbidder on Camden, who lost out, decided that they wanted some long income. They wanted London. It's only a ground floor slice with some parking, so you could boost your income maybe a little bit there. And that's off 3.3%. 21 years to the council.
Classic lockaway, isn't it? For
Yeah.
21
When's the
years.
next review?
Review, I think, is coming up next year.
It's RPI kickers.
Yeah.
And again, that's the key. Good. So that takes us, we did a lot of London, and the appetite doesn't diminish really there. We were going to look at the mixed use. We looked at mixed use in London. Now take us outside to Mere.
Yeah, so lot 24 in Mere. So we're up in the West
In
Midlands.
Staffordshire again, actually.
Back up towards Leek, yeah.
Yeah, back up there. I quite like it up there.
But we talked a
Is
lot
it-
about mixed use having an appeal, and this is
This is a mixed use parade.
briefly,
So
we got 43 flats.
7 shops, 43 flats, and some car parking. It was pretty much fully let. There were only 3 flats that
And
were
the first time
vacant.
I've ever seen the word quintuple in auction details.
Yeah, that's
A big shop.
it's very large. £280,000 per annum. And yeah, that sold for on the day for 2.952 million.
It was a real big chunk of, whether you call it a suburb, a little town, I don't quite know how you describe it, just south of the main hub of Stoke. And it forms a huge bulk of that centre.
It is. It's a big part of the town centre, isn't it?
3/4 of an acre.
We're honest, we didn't
Huge
think we'd get
site.
a competition for it, but we actually did on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 2.952.
Sub
Ma-
9%.
Manchester
Seven-
Bar.
It's just nice, diverse income.
Yeah,
Exactly. And none of these shop rents were very high, I think, except for the quintuple unit. So it's a good spread of income.
Yeah, no covenants. There was a charity shop, but other than that, it's locals. Coral's holding over, but the rent's very, very affordable.
It's exactly what some investors are looking for with diverse income players.
And only 3 out of 43 flats vacant. It's quite a good effort there.
So quite an intense management job, but really good rock solid income.
Interestingly, a lot of the tenants there are relocations from local councils, local authorities. So there's a real demand for housing for those sort of people, and this fits the bill perfectly.
Fits that bill. Good.
Bit of a bidding war actually today.
How many bids do we have for it?
We had 67 bids were placed to get to that final price.
Either means the increments are too small or we got it wrong. But that's tremendous. Okay. So that really brings to a head a very good day. As we speak, there's more deals being done. We just sold lot 1, bringing us to £61.5 million. And we're getting the December catalogue together now. But it's 172 million in the last 5 weeks. It's pretty good. Nearly 500 million a year to date. And, the demand is a little bit hard to identify somewhere, but we've been through some examples which are the better. Of course, we'll all be delighted to chat through any more detail that you want us to chat about. Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you for listening. That brings this one to a conclusion. The next, as we shoot upstairs now to get the December catalogue ready, it's goodbye from me, George Walker.
Bye, George. See you next time.
And that's Clough. And Lottie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, George.
Brilliant, adding a few pearls of wisdom. And next time, Ben, I expect we'll be talking to you from Brighton.
Absolutely, for Christmas.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me, George.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.